welcome to Managing Expectations. My name is Victor and I'm an American living here in Stockholm, and this channel is for folks like me who live here in town and want to know if an event or an activity is worth their time. And the event I'm going to be evaluating today is the Nobel Lights that's going on right now in Stockholm at Stadshuset, or the City Hall. This is the first time I'm evaluating a light show and I'm no expert. The first criteria is, did you learn something new about the Nobel Prize or maybe even the City Hall itself? Did you enjoy the atmosphere? Was it cozy, or did you just have fun being around so many different people? And did you leave the event feeling inspired in some way? So my first tip to help you manage expectations for the Nobel Lights at Stadshuset right now is that the event itself is relatively new. It got started in 2020, and the premise of the event was not only to help get Stockholmers to come out of their homes and experience the lights at Stadshuset, but it was also an experiment to how can Stockholm City not only give something that people can come out and see, but also have something that can reach out and get them really out of their sofas into the city. And there's a really, really cool TED Talk by one of the co-founders where she goes through not only the reasons why they started this light show, but also really the goal of public art in general. Stockholm is not the only city that has lights during winter. We're not the only dark country, but it certainly is a country that really appreciates not only the light and that really being kind of a cultural touchstone for the time of the year, but also something that's an activity that you can interact with. Really just know that this event is relatively new. Every year it's different, and I'll talk a little bit later about the theme for this year, but it really is a cool experience to see something on such an iconic building that means so much to so many different people. So my second tip for you is that the City Hall means a lot to people here in Stockholm. This is the only place I've ever lived in Sweden, so I don't know if there are people in Sweden that feel a connection to City Hall like those here in Stockholm. I'm sure there are. But if you are one of those people that don't live in Stockholm but still have a connection to the City Hall, please comment and share your experience. But in reflecting for this video, I realized that not only had me and my husband got married at City Hall, but the co-founder also got married at City Hall. And the large majority of my friends today in Sweden have also gotten married at City Hall. So this building is not only important because it's a part of our lives and I'll always have it in my wedding photos like so many other people in Stockholm, but it's also the single building that you pretty much can see from most parts of Stockholm. And certainly if you're taking the tunnelbana to or from Gamla stan to Södermalm, you always have an opportunity to see the City Hall. So it kind of is this character in our lives here in Stockholm. So I think that's just something that really makes the lights onto Stadshuset really special. So my third tip is that the light show this year is really based off of all of the women who have won a Nobel Prize since the prize's inception. And today there's about 66 women who have won a Nobel Prize, and that includes a woman who won this year. And the kind of narrator of this light show, in terms of kind of the focal point that you're going to keep seeing in the light show, is going to be Marie Curie. She and her husband in 1903 won the prize for physics, and then she won again in 1911 for chemistry. So a really, really cool character that we've not only seen movies for, but if you've also been to the Pantheon in Paris, you can see her and her husband's grave. So it's a really cool character that many people are familiar with. And in preparing for this video, I did do a little bit of research, so I was able to share that with some of my friends as we were walking to Stadshuset. And I did hear from some of them that they thought it was actually helpful to know this information around the theme of this year. So definitely know that if you're going to go this week, or if you're going to come to Stockholm and visit it next year, take a few minutes to go onto the Stockholm City website, which is in the description, to learn a little bit about the theme. It certainly does not give away any information about the show itself. It just helps you give a bit of information around kind of framing your perspective on what you're about to see. And I'm really tempted to show the whole video that I filmed from the lights, but I'm only going to show a few seconds and I'll pepper it through this video because I really want you to all to go out and see it yourself. And quite frankly, there's probably going to be another person on YouTube or on social media that's going to share a video of it that's going to be much higher quality than I would do it. So definitely go see it. Maybe look, if you're not in Stockholm, go research it online. I'm sure someone's posted a video. So my next tip for you is that the show itself is not that long. I recorded bits and pieces of the light show, so I don't quite remember if I ever filmed the whole show itself, but I remember it being just a few minutes, which means you can really make the show whatever you want. So if you are a group of people and you are going to the show after dinner or before dinner, or maybe you work in the neighborhood and you just want to go see the lights after the sun sets, which, spoiler alert, it's pretty early. But honestly, like, you can really make this whatever you want it to be. In the case of me and my friends, me and my husband have seen it a couple times. Some of our friends have seen it, some of our friends had not seen it. So we made an evening of it. We went to our friend's house, had a nice cozy dinner, had some drinks, and then heated up some glögg. And tip for you that are either new to Sweden, and I certainly learned this from my Swedish friends, is when you're heating up the glögg on the stovetop, you just want to heat it just until you start to see some smoke, and then immediately take it off the heat. Because the smoke that you're seeing rise from the stovetop is actually the alcohol burning off. Be careful to not leave it on the oven for too long. I've certainly did that in the past, and cooking out all the alcohol and certainly making it unintentionally sweeter. So we made a night of it. We walked down to Stadshuset. We had a cozy time. I think we were there for 30 minutes, and it was really, really nice. There was a handful of people around. I think the weather was raining, so people didn't want to stay out too long. We didn't see there was any kind of food kiosk or anyone selling anything, but on the bright side, there were some paid bathrooms. So if you did have that glögg, or if you did come from drinks, don't worry, there'll be facilities for you to use. But really, the event itself is really cozy. The music is quite loud, which I think actually helps with the experience, because you really want to focus on the lights, and it's not an experience where you'll be doing a lot of chatting. And I certainly didn't hear many people chatting itself. I had a couple of moments maybe where I leaned over to a friend or to my husband and mentioned a comment or a reaction to something we had just seen. So it can really make it anything you want. I recommend bringing a hot drink so that you can enjoy it, because it will be cold. Just maybe it's raining, maybe it's snowing, maybe you get lucky and there is some just dry weather. So bring some drinks. It's going to be a good time. So another tip I have for you is to take a minute or two before you arrive at Stadshuset to maybe research one of the winners of the Nobel Prize. Certainly one of the 66 winners who have been a woman. And I think I went into this show knowing that Marie Curie was going to be narrating the show, and I knew a little bit about what she had won for, but I certainly didn't know that she won twice. But just knowing that she was going to be the narrator and be featured in the show certainly helped anchor my experience to the actual show. And I think if you're going to come, it might be nice to know maybe one or two that are coming. There was this really cool Norwegian winner. Her name was May-Britt Mosse, and she won for her work in understanding like how the brain works on a cellular level. Like, I'm not a scientist, I don't know what that really means, but it seemed really cool, and she was featured. So that was pretty cool. Take that moment. It will help you kind of anchor your own experience while watching the show. Another tip I have for you is that the Nobel Lights at Stadshuset are not the only event for this week. Obviously, you have the big banquet that's going to happen at City Hall. You have the Nobel ceremony itself, where each of the winners are going to give a speech and talk a little bit about their experience and why they did the work that they did. So that's all really cool. But the lights itself are going to be happening all week at several different venues. I'm going to drop a link in the description to the Stockholm stad website, where you can see all of the lights and the events and when they're happening, and if they're in a ticketed space like a museum, or if they're in a public space that you can access by foot. So do I think that's worth your time? Absolutely. You're going to learn something new. You don't need to have any information about the Nobel Prize to enjoy the lights themselves. They're just stunning in that they are these incredible kind of image mapping type of technology that you see in theme parks and in really expensive exhibitions. So itself is just really cool. But you are going to learn something, I hope, coming away from it, whether it's one of the names of the winners, or maybe you learn something about one of the prizes that they won. So I think in general, from the criteria of are you going to learn something? Most definitely. The second criteria we had was, is this event going to be a cool atmosphere? And I think it really is. Again, when you step into the kind of the viewing area, you're immersed by the music. Even if you're there with friends, you're kind of really fixated on the lights itself. So the atmosphere is very cool. People are not speaking too much. It's really all about experiencing this moment together. And I think that's a really cool experience to do with all these strangers. And lastly, are you going to walk away from this event feeling inspired? Totally. I mean, one of my friends, even at the last show, said that this was quite powerful. I certainly came away from it not only feeling inspired, but also thinking a lot about it, which probably because I filmed this video, but I just certainly felt inspired by it, and I thought I wanted to learn more about it. So I think this is a really great event, not only for kids, but also for the whole family, to really get people thinking and talking about these really incredible people, and in this case, these 66 women who have done some incredible work in their field. So definitely worth your time. Go enjoy it. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, let me know in the comments, like and subscribe, and I hope you tune in for the next video.